Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Brightworks and a very special episode of Beyond All Reason. Today, we're celebrating 1,000 members on our Discord channel by taking a look at a best-of-3 series that was played between two pro teams in the Beyond All Reason Nation Wars tournament. If I remember correctly, this is the Slovakia versus the Netherlands team. And today, spawning on Folsom Dam in the front lines, representing our red team, an Armada commander that goes by the name of Shoddy. We'll meet all our commanders here, but let's zip on over to the blue team's leader, goes by the name of Classic here. So, on the blue team, our roster today, Classic, Angry Strawberry, Reed Sweet, and Biggest. Gonna be going up against Shoddy, Kostian, Tepero, and Kislik 540. Going to be showing us what they've got here in red. Now, already a variety of strategies today in our best of 3 series. As you can see, the red team going for a very aggressive early forward co-op lab right now between the orange and red commander. Going to be pumping out a couple of Janus and sending them towards the fronts. That is, of course, going to leave the Navy lane up on the northern side and the river lane on the southern side a little bit less guarded, shall we say. It also means that the blue team has the luxury of an air player. Not what we're going for here, though. Interestingly enough, Strawberry opting to go for a vehicle lab in the backline here instead, maybe hoping to claim a bunch of these early mexes and try and build that economy really, really fast. Biggest has a critical hold right here to try and maintain, and Reed Sweet is going to command a, well, dominating presence over the naval sector on the northern side with no competition whatsoever. Will certainly be a relief for that Cyan commander, who is going to be more than happy to see that there is nobody else in his swamp. Orange Commander moving forward to claim these high-value metal extractors. For anybody that's unaware, the metal extractors on this map in the middle of the map are worth quite a bit more, 3.1 as you can see, as opposed to 1.8 in the back here. Means that fighting over the middle is definitely well worth it, especially for going for vehicle compositions. Biggest trying to beat out those Janus missiles. Yeah, doesn't want to take a hit from them, because that happens. Up goes the Blitz in a puff of smoke as those Januses do connect with that early onset rapid plasma fire tank. Biggest loses another one on the front line, and already this is looking phenomenal for the red team. As long as these Janus are microed properly, there is nothing the purple commander is going to be able to do against these. They just have too much range, too much kiting potential, and so much DPS that the purple commander is immediately forced offline. A couple of Januses coming up in the backline, well, Janus singular, I should say, coming up in the backline right here. Biggest in full retreat. Oh. Commander does catch the Janus. All right, that's a clean kill right there. 3 Janus for a commander. Definitely going to be well worth it. The orange commander marching forward immediately to jump on top of this wreckage here. Surely going to be handing a whole bunch of that metal back towards the red team here. Beautiful comm snipe on the behalf of the red team. And we do have a little bit of a scout on the northern side as one of those frigates intercepts a hovercraft here for the yellow commander. Interesting start to go for those hovercraft. Going to be way slower than naval units, but of course much more capable of building on land, so there is that. Yeah, Tepero moving forward, stepping forward with the orange commander here to de-gun down the laboratory, shutting down unit production. Now, at this point, it's definitely lucky that Strawberry has opted to go for some units in the back. Yeah, gonna be much more useful against the orange commander stepping forward right now, as opposed to the otherwise zilch units that would be on the field if otherwise we had gone for, say, an air lab or one of those other sorts of starts here. It will mean that the green commander has to march her way towards the front line, though, in order to contest this orange madman on a rampage. This is a fabulous opening right here. These medium tanks are being pumped out in numbers. At this point, we're just trying to build up a critical mass right here. The win condition for the red team suddenly just looks like holding the metal extractors in the middle of the map for long enough that we can manage to eventually overwhelm right down the middle lane. Southern side is going to be Classic versus Kislik, and you can see we have some excellent grunt micro right here as they move all the way around here, trying to kite and bob and dodge and weave. If you can dodge a grunt, you can dodge a wrench, and if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball. And Classic is trying desperately to teach Kislik how not to dodge a grunt, trying to throw those Classic laser spitters directly in the face of that hot pink commander. How well it's going to work, I guess we'll just have to see. Wolverine firing away over here at this LLT. Singular, though, not going to be worth all too much in the grand scheme of things. Pounder tanks as well, going to be stunning these medium tanks, which is important, actually. Going to be slowing them down enough that I think Strawberry will, yep, catch them with the D-gun. Beautiful play right there. One of the superpowers of that early onset riot tank, that Pounder tank that the Cortex commanders have access to, is, of course, their ability to impulse certain units, shutting their movement down. Not to mention the amount of AoE damage in the early game is phenomenal. Certainly something to keep in mind if you're ever you ever find yourself controlling a Cortex army and reaching for things to deal with some of those lighter units. Little collisions on the southern side, classic bumping heads with Kislik over here. We do also have the grunts and the pawns going back and forth against each other here. Looks like the constructor was sniped over on this side, so that's actually a really nice pickoff. Oh no, another grunt breaks through. Another grunt breaks through right here for Classic. He is going to find the second constructor that was sent forward to grab these metal extractors. That actually could be a really nice pick right here. Classic already has the aggravators on the front, so these LOTs are just a time stall. They're not going to be able to actually hold the lines here for very much longer. Not a lot you can do as a commander when you're finding yourself under the Rocketeer fire as far as the LOTs go anyways. It's about time to transition out of it. Have to start thinking in terms of units instead of static defense. Yeah, okay. Grunt will go kill the mechs and then head on back this way to try and kill the constructor. Hopefully we can get that pick off on the constructor. I think that would definitely make things a little bit sweeter over here. Speaking of sweet, Reed Sweet has, I know that's not what that means by the way, but Reed Sweet has built a little LOT over here on the land. Interesting little play, gonna be going for a little bit of a, yeah, a little bit of a flanking maneuver here on the northern side. Meanwhile, Strawberry's unit production handed over to the purple commander to Micro. Always a good idea, dispersing the APM. Wow, quite a lot of pings coming out from Kislik. Apparently these commanders not in a voice chat. I would imagine they would have all been in a Discord at this point, but not the case. Reed Sweet making his way up this hill towards the main red production facility. We do have an lab set up right here, as well as a transport, moving Shoddy's commander around. I wonder what the play is here. Ah, okay, we're gonna move the commander into the backline at this point. Cheeky little play from Shoddy, moving the commander around, realizing, hey, wait a second, if Reed Sweet's commander is on my side of the map, that must mean, of course, that it's not defending the base in the backline here. Air Scout should have been spotted right here. That'll be probably the first time that the green commander spies it. Should certainly start up some anti-air immediately. But at this point, it's already too late. The commander headed into the backline, and this is going to be a devastating hit right here. Missile truck, ooh, trying. Oh, one shot away from killing that transport. With just 0% HP remaining, the red commander will go down. Missile trucks were a great move right there, but unfortunately just a second too slow. Shoddy D-guns down the lab and all the production, forcing the green commander back from the fronts in order to rebuild the lab right here. Definitely a tricky situation. Classic, meanwhile, has killed the hot pink commander and immediately absorbed all of that metal, folding him back into the Cortex Empire. And a couple of grunts running by right here. Beautiful, beautiful play. Shutting down another metal extractor, and that's always worth it, especially for how long these are going to be down. That's definitely well worth it. Reed Sweet at this point has made it up to the high ground and degunned down all that lab, so at this point, both teams backstabbing each other just about as hard as they can. You do have to be careful, though. These commanders are quite precious. This is a 4v4, in case you didn't notice already. Yeah, the 4v4 format doesn't lend itself to sacrificial commanders all too often. You do have to be a little bit more careful with them than ordinarily you would be. Not the end of the world, though, and Strawberry knows it. That's why they're still in the game. Pushing forward right here. We're going to claim the 3.1 metal extractor and should do to push forward as well even further. Shoddy will be trying to, or will be deflected right here by a couple of LLTs, forcing him into the backline of the economy. Not a bother, though. The red commander more than happy to just continue blasting away at the metal extractors, solar panels, wind turbines, grunts, and anything else that the blue commander can throw up. Here we go, those LLTs finally going to come into range here of the red commander. Grunt's going to make this quite a bit more efficient to deal with. Oh, nice D-gun right there. Yeah, Shoddy lingering on the edge of the effective range right there for the LLTs. It's a tricky play. You take one step too far and suddenly you found yourself in a bad position, but after killing all the energy production, well, there you go. No energy left on those LLTs. Shoddy cleans out 1, 2, and heading on to about basically 3 bases. Came at the cost of a base over on this side, but definitely I would say that the red team is in the advantage right now. You can certainly see as far as the energy production goes, they're well in ahead. All of that juicy wind turbine power going down right here for the blue commander is going to hurt quite a lot. We do have a single constructor to rebuild all this eventually, by the way, but it is going to take a good long while. Means that the blue commander is going to have to rebuild on the fronts. Wind turbines are the first priority. I think that makes a lot of sense. Trying to get that energy production back up and running, but it definitely hurts, especially with the wind speed plummeting right when you need it the very most. Metal extractors are falling slowly but surely. Ever so slightly bringing that advantage back towards an even match right now, but it is going to take a full team effort to get back into the economic game here. Aggravators firing away at these pawns, trading out very efficiently. It'll take more than that, though. Classic knows it. Going for the forward bot lab. I was wondering. A little bit of a transition here on the northern side. Reed Sweet deciding to go for some of those gunships. The Cutlass here, the seaplane gunship for the Cortex faction. Yeah, you can see, look at that energy production. The entire blue team without energy right now. Completely full on metal though, many of them. Yeah, this is the point where you just start throwing down solar panels willy-nilly just to make sure that at the very least there's some sort of constant energy production coming in. The wind turbines are fabulous. They're extremely efficient and very, very useful. However, they're only as useful as they are spinning away, and when the wind speed drops pretty low, it isn't right now, but when it does drop pretty low, it can be quite a problem. Classic going for some more wind turbines, a radar tower, as well as that forward bot lab. A little bit of a air lab over here for Shoddy. That's interesting. All right. Gunship going to start blasting away at the commander here. We do have a light anti-air tower as well. Tricky matchup right here. We have to make sure that the gunship doesn't accidentally get shot out of the sky by a D-gun. Keep it clear of that light anti-air. And you know what? With 2 light anti-air cannons, it will be enough to shoot down that gunship. Down it goes, crashing and burning into the ground. And it's not going to be enough in order to take down the red commander, who is still a menace in the backline here. We are starting a transport, which is quite precious. Going to maybe try and lift the commander back to our side of the map, but I wouldn't even mind seeing a bot lab go down and just try and retake these mexes and start production over here. There we go. Yeah, mexes are coming up right now. Seems that the red commander agrees. We're going for a scout right here. Maybe thinking about fleeing. A little bit wary, though, because we have seen those, those beautiful seaplanes, and those can absolutely tear apart any sort of T1 Air Force quite quickly. Strawberry in a predicament as well. Forced to cloak the commander on the front line. Just barely not enough energy to get off the D-gun while those lightning tanks were on range. Oh, this would be the opportunity. Huge D-gun right there. Cleaves apart all, well, not all of them. 2 out of 3 of the lightning tanks right there. Getting a little ahead of myself. I was excited to see it because those lightning tanks are a menace on the front line. Proper kiting and those things can bring down commanders in a blink of an eye. Extremely, extremely powerful. Enough anti-air over here to shoot down any transports and whatnot. They're moving that direction. The red commander will be glad that he scouted it at the very least. The Cutlass gunships, 2 more now to try and come take down the commander, but there's quite a lot of anti-air here now, so it'd be definitely an uphill battle. The commander has also regenerated quite a lot of biosteel, so it's going to be very difficult in order to get that back up and running. Seaplane lab will be discovered right here. We're actually low on build power. Wouldn't mind seeing tidal generators come up, even though they're extremely inefficient here. They are constant, which is their one saving grace. Very, very inefficient at 10 speed, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Don't think these constructors building wind turbines in the backline are gonna be enough energy production here. It is the one solid advantage that the blue team has right now over the red team, is this massive control over the naval sector. This is nice control too, but we don't have the metal extractors on the southern side. Not having these 3 mexes up and running, these 4 mexes up and running, definitely means that this expansion is a little bit less valuable than you really would have imagined. You can kind of imagine this as essentially the same as holding this line right here. If this blue commander was pushed up to this line, they still would have the same number of metal extractors, plus, I guess, 1 extra. That's Strawberry's commander going down in the middle of the map. Looks like those lightning tanks finally did her in. Pounders and Wolverine's going to be in full retreat right now, but those lightning tanks are more than happy to jump on top of all this, blasting away that T1 with ruthless efficiency that is only available from the T2 gantry. Well, I guess that's a little bit of a lie. The T3 gantry also quite powerful as well, but T2 certainly going to make the difference right here in this game. Light anti-air missile trying to shake those Cutlass out of the sky, but not really going to have all too much of an effect. At the end of the day, the Cutlass will secure this midsection at the very least for the time being. Green Commander back in the seat of combat here. We do have a bunch of Wolverines coming up, but the Mauser have hit the field in full stride. There we go. How many Mauser do we have on the southern side now? Looks like about 5. Whole bunch more coming up right now. All handed over to a whole bunch of different commanders. The Hot Pink Commander going to be rolling them down this hillside. We have a bunch of, a whole bunch of Mauser handed out to the Orange Commander as well. Kind of like this, actually. Taking advantage of this lane that has already been lost and instead going for a T2 advantage. Making up the difference by going up the tech ladder rather than fighting helplessly into the ocean here. It's an excellent move, especially for a game like this, because of course those T2 transitions in the Navy are so costly. It would have taken this long to get the T2 economy up and running right here for the Cyan Commander. Mauser, though, are going to tear apart this front line. Tons and tons of shells landing all over the place. We need a little bit of scouting here. Wouldn't mind seeing some ticks or something sent forward. The grunts will do the job, though. Mauser's riding into the, well, center of the blue production facility here. I was going to say the forward production facility, but it really is the only production facility. Yeah, Classic has basically lost this entire facility. The lab will go down, the wind turbines will go down, and that's going to mean that basically the blue commander has to fall all the way back. There's no tech advantage here for the blue team. They have to win with T1 tech, and as more and more of these T2 units come out on the field, it's going to be harder and harder to hold all this. maybe these Dam Busters are going to be able to get some value here. Dam Buster's an extremely powerful unit. Very, very high power bomber. Very capable of taking out singular targets. That's kind of their bread and butter, is taking out single high health targets. It means that they can, for instance, bomb down T2 or even T3 labs right here, as we do see a T3 gantry coming up right now for the yellow commander. Feels a little bit early for it because it's only 15 minutes into the game, but man, these pros, they move fast. And just like that, you can see that T3 gantry is more than halfway completed. I have a feeling it'll come up around the 15, maybe the 16-minute mark. Yeah, 16 sounds about right. We don't have a great answer, though, to these Mauser moving forward for our orange commander. Yeah, eating up all this wreckage, eating up the wreckage of that commander as well, leaving the blue team with just a single commander left to their names. His name is Classic, and he's in full retreat right now, and I think for good reason. If this pink army catches that commander, it's GG for the blue team. They're going to need one hell of a play right now. The Dam Busters are up in the air. Maybe we could use these to shut down this army. There's no anti-air in this mix. You know, I say that right as I'm looking at 4 crossbows. Not that those crossbows are going to be extremely effective, but eventually they might be able to do something. Oh, now is the moment. Now is the moment we've been waiting for. There they go. Dam Busters collide, and beautiful collision right there from those bombers. Managed to rock the chassis of all of those Mauser tanks, firing away their high impulse cannons. Beautiful, beautiful play right there. We have the T2 transition from Strawberry. She's got the T2 lab up and running. Rushed it out with the help of the team right now to get that T2 Zor tank out on the field. Will it be enough to push this back? You have to be so careful. That commander deguns this tank and this entire push crumbles. Salamander out front to make sure that we don't run into a stray commander. Will it be enough? Oh, we're walking right into the trap. No radar coverage here, I don't think. Oh, we're turning the tank, but it turns just too slowly. The orange commander deguns down that Zor, and that hurts a lot. Taking down that Zor is so much metal down the drain right here for the green commander, and for the blue team in general, that is going to be a tremendous, tremendous pain for the blue team to deal with. Meanwhile, Marauders swimming their way under the water. Marauders under waters. There he goes. Cheeky little arm cannons converted into propulsor jets. Yeah, nice bombing run there. Yeah, trying to take out the commander. I think that's probably well worth it. Dam Buster's going in for a second pass. Oh. Or thinking about it, at the very least. There's the Marauder. Alert! Pings the Cyan Commander read suite. Indeed, this Marauder, well, he's having a little bit of an APM stall, but there we go. Eventually picking up speed here, and will eventually be able to take down a whole lot of the economy for the Cyan Commander, who has not invested in any of those title generators. It means that suddenly this is a really, really tricky spot for our Cyan hero. 0% HP, 22 HP at the very lowest right there for that commander. About as low as it gets right there for the orange commander, forced into a full retreat while cloaked. Definitely a bad situation all around. Shoddy trying to get a lab still set up over here. We're going into a bot lab at the end of it all. Not bad here. Certainly a lot of metal into the air lab there, and I don't think that's all too much well worth it. Would mind seeing that air lab eaten up here to perform well. Just a little bit more bot spam. Getting a couple of maces out, maybe a couple of those Rocketeers as well. On the last stand, these grunts will try to hold the line against the pawn wave pushing forward right here, getting a nice surround on top of them. Going to trade out fairly efficiently here. Definitely quite nice. Yeah, grunt trade looking pretty good. Still though, enough pawns to break the line, and eventually the lab goes down, securing the defeat here of the southern side of the blue player. And indeed, the red team claims victory in this game, beyond all reason. Excellent play right there from our orange team, putting a point on the board. Let's head on into match number 2 after we take a look at these graphs. Beautiful. Our second match today, a map that goes by the name of Stronghold. It's one of those ones that pops up every once in a while, but it definitely makes a lot of sense as a 4v4 map. I feel like it's the perfect size for this one. It's got these weird little hills and valleys and run-by paths, all sorts of cool little curves and crevices to explore on this map today for our commanders. Our blue team with 1 point on the board, going to be the red team with 1 point on the board, the blue team trying to defend themselves in this best of 3. Classic, going to be putting down a couple of wind turbines here as well, spawning as a Cortex commander. Our red team leader spawning once more, or actually this time as a Cortex commander as well. I believe he was Armada in the last game. Gonna be trying, yeah, he was Armada, that's right. He dropped in the enemy base, and I remember building the air lab. That was a whole bunch of fun. What a cool series. I always love these series put on between these different players, but I also love checking out these 4 versus 4s because it's always pretty interesting to see. Whoa, pardon me. Pause the game. Why did you 4-star WTF remake? Apparently, Shoddy unhappy with something that happened here. Was I sent the wrong replay? Whoops. Apparently, yeah, a little bit of little bit of accidental force start shenanigans here. Either way, I'm waiting here to see if they're going to continue the match or not. I guess they are. Definitely a little bit curious. Okay. Do we need to do a re? I suppose if we're going to do a re, if we lose. Shoddy being a good spirit about it. All right. Decides to stick out through the game. A little bit of a technical issue there. Not so much BM, I believe, but more so just yeah, a technical thing. While we figure out if this is going to be figured out here, it looks like we're going to continue play. It looks like the blue team is going for a couple of grunts across the map here. You can see indeed Retweet sending out a couple of those grunts to try and scout out these high grounds and see if any transport shenanigans have occurred. It looks like they have. The red team handing out quite a few of those transports, actually. We've got Kislik moving forward. We've got Trapero. Trapero? Or T3P3RO. I don't know. The Orange Commander. As well as Castian. Everybody moving their commanders pretty far forward right now, trying to claim these forward sections right here, while the blue team is much more focused on unit production and moving out with their units rather than moving out with their commanders. It definitely leaves you in a risky situation here, because you can imagine, for instance, Kislik, who has basically no build power in the backline here, has virtually no production whatsoever. It's going to be extremely important that the commanders can hold the metal extractors that they're moving their commanders forward to claim. Otherwise, you end up with no production in the backline and a whole bunch of money. All right, I think we are steady. We're finally stable. Now, Castian has moved pretty far forward here. It's set up an LLT to defend this area. Biggest going to start taking some laser fire here. Oh, D-gun didn't connect right there. Oh, we're trying. We do manage to take down the LLT. That's huge. That means that we can continue applying pressure right here with the purple commander. The yellow commander, Castian, going for another LLT over here. Biggest looking to hug it out because, of course, this commander is transported so far forward. He figures, well, I might as well trade out with the yellow commander here. Indeed decides to go for the hug of death, and down go both of those commanders. Transport, the only thing left standing over here in this mess of an explosion, and we will eventually see some res bots headed on over in that direction. In fact, we're going to send the Strawberry herself to go clean all that up. This is exactly what I was talking about. Because we moved the commanders forward, we didn't have the economy to, or we didn't have the production, rather, in the back line. And just like that, a bunch of grunts slip into the back and manage to take down a whole bunch of the metal extractors here for the yellow commander, leaving our poor hero Castian with nothing left in order to control. We have a single construction bot in the back. It was trying to stay alive right here. The grunt's going to go take a look around. We've had a couple of units handed over as well, but already Strawberry is eating up a whole bunch of that wreckage, feeding that metal back to her team, going to mean that everybody has a fabulous economy moving forward right now. Retweet moving slowly but steadily, creeping and crawling his way forward right now. Grunts will find the metal extractors over here, leaving the yellow player destitute. Nothing to their name, save for the constructor and a couple of grunts that have been handed over by teammates. Shoddy moving around on the left-hand side of the map here. Yeah, maybe thinking about trying to go for a little bit of a snipe. Sets down the commander. I think he suspects that there's some air units out in play. We've probably seen the shurikens, but by this point, the fighters going in after the transport here are going to confirm for the red commander. Oh, they actually can't hit it. Okay. Couldn't hit the commander, but they will confirm at the very least that the red commander is moving around over there. Always very tricky to deal with. Do we have any more fighters? Nope, we're going into full shuriken production over here. Grunt sent to the back here from Retweet. We do have a exploiter that's actually been set up. Oh, anti-air turret. Oh, and the transport goes down, carrying the red commander, leaving a nice juicy 1.25 thousand metal sitting right in the main base of the blue commander. Okay, with two commanders down, as well as a third here for the blue, the red team decides that they were not willing to stick into this game, and the blue team manages to put a point on the board. Well, that was a quick and short, sweet game, but I'm sure excited to see who takes the win here in this third match of Beyond All Reason. See you in the next one. And our final match in this best of 3 series on a map that goes by the name of Shallow Straits. I don't know if I've ever seen this map before. Yeah, this might be a completely new map as far as I can tell. Maybe not a new map in the game, but definitely a new map to me. Spawning on the southern side is going to be our red team, who we know and love, going to be led by Shoddy, once more spawning as a Cortex commander. Over on the other side, Classic, once again leading the blue in Armada colors. Going to be showing us what he's got once more as an Armada commander. Always happy to see Armada commanders. Typically in the 1v1s, it almost always ends up being Cortex versus Cortex. Always happy when the 4v4s balance it out such that Armada is viable to some sense once again. There's no hiding the fact that I'm definitely an Armada sympathizer, much more so than the Cortex menace. Strawberry and Biggest both marching very far forward right here, sort of doing the same strat but minus the transports right here that the red team actually went for in the last match. Going to be expanding forward minus the production right here in order to claim a whole bunch of these metal extractors on the middle of the map. Definitely quite cheeky. We do have a couple of transports coming up right here in a communism lab from Kastian as well as Kislik working together to pump out some of those Hercules. Hercules trying to move forward right here with some of the red commanders and pick them up. Surely sending them around the map here to try and do some damage, maybe claim some metal extractors. Looks like we've got a little bit of a drawing here, an indication that maybe we're planning on moving around in the right-hand side. Yeah, Strawberry learned her lesson. Decided to set up the anti-air quite a bit sooner here, just to be sure that there's no chance that any transports are going to make their way through this direction, at least without taking quite a hefty beating. Biggest setting up a vehicle lab here. Vehicles are a curious choice. I guess it makes sense, though, because at the end of the day, the vehicles are going to be able to traverse the water quite easily here, even the scouts, whereas the ticks are going to have a much bigger issue. Obviously not an issue for Cortex commanders, but certainly Armada one's going to struggle a little bit when their primary scouting unit is suddenly cut off from half the map. And we do have a water start right here as well from Reed Sweet, as well as our red commander Shoddy. Interesting to see water starts in 4v4s. Don't see it all too often. Oh, commander does get dropped off. I thought for sure that commander would be dead. Strawberry embraced in the hug of death right here by Kastian, moving forward right here to make sure that the green commander goes down in a loving embrace, and that'll be Strawberry without any constructors very quickly on into this match. Going to take quite a lot to get back into this from this point. We do have Grunts moving forward right here for the orange commander, and Kislik as well, marching ahead to try and open up this middle island right now. Surprised we don't see production happening right here, but I guess the yellow commander busy producing shuriken at home. Still wouldn't mind seeing a bot lab or two, though. At the very least, hopefully we can grab these metal extractors to produce some resources. Gonna set up an LLT first, don't mind that whatsoever, but certainly these corpses right here are going to become extremely pivotal to making sure that this game stays in a steady state. Classic marching the commander forward immediately, necessitated by that trade of the commanders right there. Somebody has to do something about that from the blue team, and it looks like that job falls to Classic right here. Strawberry handed a commander over in the back line, going to try and rebuild herself from scratch. Always a very tricky proposition. Shoddy transporting over to the left-hand side as well to drop the commander and capture those metal extractors on the northwestern island. Biggest has established nice control over here, though. We do have the missile truck firing away at a whole bunch of these grunts. We have a constructor in a little bit of trouble, though. Yeah. One grunt is not the end of the world, but certainly a little bit uncomfortable here for the purple commander. I think the missile truck will be more than enough to deal with this grunt eventually, but it certainly is a little bit uncomfortable when you have to deal with one of those in the back line. Kislik has at this point set up a nice fortified LLT wall. Not going to last too long against these Rocketeers moving up to the front right here for Classic, but it should last more than long enough in order to reclaim a whole bunch of this metal and send it on back to the team. You can see the red team's metal reserves suddenly shooting all the way up right now, as yeah, each and every one of them is receiving tons and tons of metal from this commander, eating it all up and sending it all back. That's 2 commanders worth of metal, 2,500 metal, gonna be heading back to the hands of the red team. Wouldn't mind a T2 transition with it right now, but can't really afford it with how much production is needed to keep these commanders at bay. Shoddy moving forward right here manages to de-gun down a couple of the, well, the lab right here are biggest, but as well a couple of constructors and some of the units. Gonna be very difficult to rebuild right here for the purple commander. Hopefully this Janus can lock on and fire a couple of volleys. There it goes, firing its twin-headed cannons. Grunts handed over from the orange commander right here, as well as aggravators to push back against Classic. Already the metal has been extracted though right now, so all we're fighting for are the rights to these metal extractors. Certainly very valuable, but it's about even right now because the purple commander has been dealt with. Yeah, as 2 commanders for the red team now march forward. My goodness. Walking under the water in order to pop up wherever they need to be. Red commanders all over the place, causing trouble. Janus trying to connect wherever he can. It does manage to find a little bit of value here, but Biggest now locked into a battle. Just like that. I do believe that will be a second set. Whoa, Biggest manages to survive. I thought both commanders were going to go down there, but by the skin of his teeth, the purple commander manages to pull out of that with his life. Strawberry's second commander now headed over here. This was originally the cyan commander, is going to be heading on over in this direction to try and reinforce Classic and the Rocketeers that are now firing away on the front lines. Trying to keep everything up and running. Definitely a dangerous stance. The reinforcements that are routed through this area running into the red commander over here. Yeah, eventually that Janus is doing some serious work. The silver bar is quite impressive. Oh, 9% left on that commander. Shoddy's commander extremely, extremely low. Definitely going to be quite a lot of metal back to the blue team at this point, helping production tremendously. And we're down to 3 commanders for the red team, 2 commanders right now for the blue. Pardon me, I read that backwards. 3 commanders for the blue, 2 commanders for the red. Oh, a nice use of the shuriken over here. Catching some of the frigates. That hurts quite a lot, especially on the Navy battle. Obviously, shurikens catching any unit is going to make it a very efficient fight, but catching those Navy units definitely hurts quite a bit more with how often those Navy units tend to snowball out of control quite frequently. Destroyer will put an end right there to the red commander, though. Bringing the red team down to a single commander remaining. Strawberry moving forward underwater right here, taking a page out of their opponent's book, going to be popping up in the middle of the enemy main base, right in the heart of production right here for the orange commander. Frigates now jumping on top of this destroyer over here. Shurikens helping out immensely. Anti-air will eventually take down most of those shurikens, but there's no denying that this has been a fabulous trade right there. 2 frigates right there, managing to take, well, basically nothing traded right here for the orange commander in exchange for a destroyer. Speaking of destroyers, though, Strawberry marches ahead, angry as all hell. De-gunning down the lab right here for the orange commander, taking down constructors as well, prioritizing constructors even, making sure that no rebuilding happens right here, slowing down the orange commander as much as possible, sending those plasma balls directly through the bases over here, forcing a ton of units back from the orange team. Yeah, you can see those aggravators sent back in this direction here to try and deal with it. Nice de-gun right there, catches a couple of those. We have another destroyer out on the field here. Missile boat actually triggering the flanking damage right there. Means this destroyer does quite a bit more. Yeah, suddenly this destroyer is taking a fabulous trade against these frigate units. Okay. Have to be so careful about it. But it can work. Lab has fallen, though. Means that we're not going to see any more naval units for a good long while. We have to build it with a T1 constructor, leaving us with very little in the way of production ability. Strawberry's commander, very low, will fall face first into the dirt, right next to the red commander's base. The destroyer taking out the green commander. My goodness. The commander's ability to move across this map right here is phenomenal. Definitely making it extremely tricky right now for the blue team. Ah, okay, and they opt to go for a T2 lab. Interesting decision here. Kislik going for a bot lab over here on this island. Definitely risky, though. Yeah, the destroyer is moving in right now, and these Rocketeers wouldn't have too much trouble shutting this down either. There is a torpedo launcher coming up. Coastal torpedo launcher is perfect for defending this sort of a section right here, where you have a little bit of traversable terrain by vehicles or bots, but it's partially submerged, so that torpedo launcher can fire away. Destroyer, though, going to be contributing immensely to firing away at this whole facility over here. Frigates take down the constructor, and they'll finish off that lab, too. For the time being, though, this destroyer is getting essentially free value, which is always nice to see. Constructor sent on over in this direction. We'll discover an LLT, singular, guarding these metal extractors on the northern island. A couple of medium tanks, maybe even a single medium tank would be able to shut that down, and you'd have yourself in a nice position. Now, despite the tons of metal lying right here in the green commander's corpse, there's actually not a whole lot of constructors to take this back. Yeah, most of the build power right now, or most of the factory power, is all in air labs and naval labs. There's not actually anything to build any land-based units right here for the blue, or for the red team. Huh. What an interesting situation we find ourselves in here now. Suddenly, all build power is in the skies and the seas, and nothing is on the land. The land is where the metal extractors are, though. At least the majority of them. Kislik opting to route the commander around this side, but it is the last commander. You do have to be so careful. If, for instance, this destroyer finds this, that could be bad news bears. Rocketeers firing away. 4% per shot. Not terrible. Certainly not the most impressive thing to kill a destroyer with. Or maybe it is impressive to kill a destroyer with that, being how little damage they actually do. There we go. T2 units will come up and running, though. We do have a, well, a whole bunch of wind turbines starting up right here for the blue commander, and eventually we are going to get into those hounds as well. I think that's a lovely play. Those hounds are definitely very, very valuable. They're an excellent option for dealing with T1 navies that are harassing shorelines. They have enough range, typically, to reach out and hurt those armies, while they also have the health and damage to sort of contest them. It's not a perfect solution, but there really isn't one. Kislev does have to be so careful out here, using the naval supremacy to reclaim all this metal that's lying in ships right here. And it is quite a lot, a couple thousand at least, laying on the bottom of the ocean floors. I think the blue team has a misread on this. I don't think they realize how little production there actually is on the land right here. If this army goes down, if this single orange army goes down right here, that is the end of all of the unit production right now for the blue, or for the red team. That being said, destroyers in the backline causing so much trouble. Hound production kicked off right here, but it's going to be shut down just about as quickly as it started. Energy production is plummeted right now, and so despite having all the metal in the world, there's no way to spend it. Wind turbines coming up right now. Destroyers trying to reach out and punch all these energy production facilities that they can. I don't think they have vision of this. Yeah, there's actually no vision of the units over here. So luckily for the blue commander, not losing too much of the base over here and managing to squeeze out a couple of those hounds. Those early hounds are going to make all the difference right now. There we go. Destroyers firing into the dark. Just dumb firing for the time being, but firing nonetheless. Trying to take down as much economy as possible. Finally, a bot lab comes up over here. First bot lab we've seen in a good long minute from the red team. Kislev sends up the bot lab, and as well as trying to set up a little bit of an economy. We've got the metal extractors, we've got the coastal torpedo launchers as well to make sure those rocketeers don't push any further. And we're going to go for some of those solar panels as well. Not bad whatsoever. The orange player attempting to indicate the lines of available attack. Air Scout right here will reveal the blue base. They find the T2 lab, which is definitely scary. Seeing that T2 lab indicates that you're a little bit on the clock. Obviously, these destroyers able to reach out and hit it, though, means that they can shut down that T2 production about as quickly as it needs to be. Here go the hounds, trying to find their value. They've got the radar and radar jammer bot as well, so they're invisible to anything but line of sight right now, which means that, for instance, this coastal torpedo launcher is going to have a hard time finding them. Apparently not a very hard time finding them, though. I guess it uses sonar detection, so it doesn't really rely on the vision. I guess that makes sense. Barely makes sense. Big is helping pump out a whole bunch of units over here. We have frigates jumping on top of a destroyer. Definitely the right engagement is what we're looking for right here, but you have to be careful. The shape of this engagement matters a lot too. Flanking bonus right there is huge from the cyan units, and you can see immediately blasting down that destroyer very, very quickly. Those twin Gauss cannons on the LSAW, very powerful. 4 cannons is better than 3, that's what I always say. No, empirically speaking, probably not, based on how popular and how powerful the Cortex frigates are. Either way, though, we are finally seeing some aggression right here. There are some missile trucks, so Shuriken are not going to have much of an effect. Hound are going to be more than happy to blast away at this, slowly but surely, whittling down all these units. Not to mention, of course, these missile trucks can shoot down all the fighter wall. Whirlwind's going to try and drop their payload on top of these, but these units are far too mobile. There's no good reason why any of these should be taking too much fire from the bombers over here. Destroyers being very annoying still in the backline, but already this T2 composition is paid for itself. Those hounds contributing so much firepower. And just like that, we find ourselves in the orange facility, once again shutting down a major player in the ground-based forces production. And now with all that metal pumped into Navy over here, LSAWs, you name it. Biggest is now funding a tremendous Navy right here for the Cyan Commander to fight back with. Once these destroyers are taken care of, I think you put yourself in a really good position to finally lock down the northern section of the map and then eventually the southern section. I would say the blue team at a resounding advantage at this point. Grunts moving forward right here, jumping on top of the Rocketeers. Rocketeers caught without any sort of security escort. No personnel keeping them safe, and so they will be, at least in majority, falling to the forces of the Hot Pink Commander. Beautifully done. Strawberry microing back to the safety of the LLT, but it's not quite finished yet. I have to be so careful with those aggravators firing away here, too. Destroyers have gone down. Exactly the trade we were hoping for. Destroyers have fallen. That means you're in a really good spot. You only have to take out one more production facility. You got the southern bot lab over on this side trying to produce whatever they can, and you've got these blue units pushing directly towards the red facilities. Every metal extractor they take down, though, shutting down more and more of the metal production. Yeah, look at that. 17 metal per second right here for the red team versus 34.5. Not the biggest numbers known to mankind, but certainly valuable. Down goes the green commander. I don't think that's really the end of the world here, though. Yeah, biggest walking out into the ocean over here. Keeping it all very cool, very casual. The blue team, unaware of this commander lurking in the depths. Unaware of what happens to be just a mere movement away. Does it really matter, though? I believe that's, well, one of the final mechs is here. There's a few here and there, but very, very few mechs remain on the land right here for the red team. Every unit that is out on the field right now, every unit that will be built, I do believe, is built. Say for instance, or for example, these this bot lab. For exception, I guess is the word I was looking for. There go the destroyers, reaching out and hitting those metal extractors, hitting the wind turbines, hitting all of it. Very, very nicely done. Kislik's commander is revealed. Not bad. The trigger is pulled. At this point, it's who can reclaim most of the wreckage and who can build enough units to kill that last commander. The biggest army available to the red team right now is their navy. So I think this is a smart move from Biggest to retreat from the well, naval theater for now. There's definitely enough units, all these destroyers, all these frigates over here in order to deal with all this, but it is a little bit far away from where actually it needs to be in order to defend all this. Yeah, these blue units running back home as quickly as they can, trying to shut down this pink army. Meanwhile, Kislik moving towards the production facility over here. There's a couple of LLTs, not enough to stop a commander, though. You really need 3 or 4 in order to blast a commander down with any number of swiftness. Kislik is a little hesitant, though. Yeah, Destroyer's gonna start firing away. Frigate's also firing away at this commander. Biggest retreated to safety, so only the red team in peril right now. Ooh, Kislik forced to retreat off to the side. There's no energy production available. All of the energy production of the red team amounts to 55 energy per second here, meaning that the pink commander has no options other than dancing their way out of this one. How are his dance moves? Looking pretty good. All the destroyers are still shelling away. 3%. Commander in immediate peril. Down it goes, and the blue team manages to put their second point on the board, winning them this best of 3 series. Beautiful, beautiful plays right there. Came down to the very last units on either team. Eventually those T2 transitions, or the T2 transition from the blue team, managing to get them that victory here. The Hounds being the tiebreaker that they needed to get past the barricades, shut down the economies, and eventually take the victory in this series. What an awesome, awesome match. I love casting these series. They really do put together an excellent story. Always happy to do that, and you should let me know down below in the comment section what you think about the series, whether you prefer the one-off games or the series games. Either way, I'm happy to hear from you guys, and I sure hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.